The morning light slipped through half-closed curtains, painting soft lines across the room. Maya opened her eyes to the smell of coffee. Once, that scent meant love. Now, it only meant another day of silence. In the kitchen, Arjun was already dressed. He stirred his coffee, without looking at her. She moved around him like a ghost, setting the table, avoiding his eyes, pretending not to notice his quiet distance. "Good morning," she said softly. "Morning," he replied, without raising his head. 2 words, spoken every day, yet emptier with each sunrise. She poured coffee into his favorite cup, the one that once symbolized comfort. He didn't notice. She placed it in front of him, hoping for a thank you that never came. The clock ticked louder than their voices. The clink of his spoon against the mug filled the air, sounding like the echo of what they had become, mechanical, distant, quiet. Maya wanted to ask about his day, his work, his plans, anything to break the silence. But his eyes stayed on his phone. So she swallowed her words like pills that never worked. Once, mornings were filled with laughter and shared plans. Now even breathing together felt heavy. Maya wondered when love had turned into quiet endurance. She caught her reflection in the kettle, tired eyes, fading smile. She wasn't sure if she looked older or just sadder. Somewhere between the two, she had lost herself. She slid a plate of toast toward him. "Eat something," she said gently. He nodded, not meeting her gaze. She pretended not to notice the rejection hiding behind his silence. She stared at his hands, the same hands that once held hers like she was something fragile. Now they only held the phone, tapping, scrolling. When he stood to leave, she waited, hoping for a kiss, a small smile, anything. He just said, "I'll be late tonight," and walked out the door. The sound of the door closing hurt more than shouting ever could. Maya sat back down, hands around her coffee cup, staring at the empty chair across from her. The warmth of the drink faded fast, like their love. Outside, the morning birds sang, but inside, everything was quiet. The evening light spilled across the living room as Maya asked, "How is work?" "Fine," Arjun replied, eyes fixed on the TV. The silence after that "fine" said everything words couldn't. Maya tried again. "Remember our trip to the hills? You loved that place." He shrugged. "Yeah, a long time ago." Her smile faltered. It used to be their memory. Now it was just hers. He scrolled through his phone while she scrolled through her loneliness. The blue light washed over their faces, erasing every trace of warmth. She served dinner, careful to match his preferences, but he barely looked up. Forks clicked, plates shifted. Silence had become their uninvited guest. Maya tried to tell him about her day, her coworker's joke, her small win at work, but he only nodded, distracted. Her joy wilted before it could bloom. He moved to the couch after dinner. She joined him, hoping for closeness. But even sitting side by side, they felt miles apart. Maya glanced at the framed photo on the shelf, the day they moved in together, laughing, messy, alive. She wondered where that version of them had gone. She wanted to ask, "Are you still happy?" But the fear of the answer held her tongue. So she smiled instead, pretending everything was fine. Arjun suddenly asked, "Want some tea?" It was small, but her heart jumped. Maybe he noticed her after all. She nodded, grateful for even a drop of warmth. They drank their tea without a word. The moment she thought might heal them faded back into silence. She realized how lonely love feels when only one person is trying. She turned off the TV, whispering, "Good night." He mumbled back, already half asleep. Maya lay awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering if love could die quietly, without fights, without drama, just silence. The next morning, she looked at him, the man she still loved, the man who was slowly fading away. She didn't want to lose him, but it already felt like she had stood before the mirror, brushing her hair in silence. The woman staring back looked tired, not from work but from holding on too long. She traced the faint lines near her eyes and wondered when joy had left her face. She whispered to her reflection, Maybe I changed. Maybe she wasn't fun anymore, not exciting enough, not young enough. Each maybe cut her deeper than any word from him ever could. She opened her drawer and found old photographs, beaches, birthdays, laughter. They looked like strangers. She smiled through tears, remembering the sound of her own carefree laugh. At breakfast, Arjun's silence filled the room again. Maya tried to talk but stopped midway, fearing rejection. The toast cooled untouched, much like her heart. Her phone buzzed, a message from her friend Neha. "You okay? Haven't heard from you." Maya typed "I'm fine." But she wasn't. She just didn't want to explain the kind of pain that had no clear villain. While cleaning, she found an old notebook filled with career plans she had abandoned to be a supportive wife. Each page felt like a forgotten version of herself calling out. Scrolling social media, she saw polished couples on vacations. She looked at her own quiet living room and felt smaller. It wasn't envy. It was grief for what she once believed she had. That night, she dressed nicely, wearing the perfume he used to love. When he came home, he smiled politely but walked past her. The silence screamed louder than rejection. In the bathroom, she turned on the tap just to drown out her sobs. For the first time, she admitted she wasn't okay. Her daughter peeked in. "Mama, are you sad?" Maya forced a smile. "Just tired, sweetheart." She wiped her tears quickly. Mothers don't get to fall apart. She sat by the window, city lights blinking in the distance. Her thoughts spun. Maybe I'm the reason he's distant. But deep down, another voice whispered, or maybe he stopped trying. Maya finally understood. Love doesn't survive when only one person waters it. It wasn't her fault she stopped blooming. It was because he never noticed when she wilted. The house used to hum with laughter, the smell of breakfast, music in the kitchen, footsteps rushing to the door. Now, every sound echoed back at Maya. Even her own breathing felt loud. She set 2 plates out of habit. Arjun called, saying he'd be late again. Maya ate alone, the tick of the wall clock marking each lonely bite. She packed the untouched food into containers, labeling them carefully, though no one cared. The refrigerator light was the only glow in the room. Passing the hallway, she paused near a picture frame, them laughing on their anniversary. She touched it gently, almost hearing the echo of their joy. The bed felt larger every night. She lay on her side, listening to the hum of the ceiling fan. The other pillow remained untouched, perfectly cold. The TV played softly, but she wasn't watching. The couch beside her seemed to hold the shape of absence, the space where love used to sit. Every time a car passed, her heart lifted. Maybe he was home early. But the door never opened. Hope became a habit she was tired of repeating. She found an old music box he once gifted her. When she wound it, the soft tune filled the room, delicate, broken, fading, just like their love. In the hallway mirror, she saw herself walking past the same rooms that once held life, now just empty furniture and tired dreams. She typed, "I miss us," then deleted it. What was the point of sending words to someone who'd stopped listening? Late at night, the door finally clicked open. Arjun mumbled, "Long day," and disappeared into the shower. She nodded, unseen. The house swallowed his words like dust. When the lights went out, the silence felt heavier than walls. Maya realized that emptiness isn't the absence of things, it's the absence of care. And their rooms were full of it. The clock struck midnight. The TV flickered, long turned to background noise. Arjun was asleep on the couch again, his phone resting loosely in his hand. Maya sighed. This was becoming a pattern she no longer questioned. A sudden buzz broke the stillness. His phone lit up a name she didn't recognize, Nina. The message preview read, "You made my day again, smiling face with smiling eyes." Her heart dropped, her body froze. Her hand trembled. For a moment, she wanted to ignore it, pretend it was nothing. But curiosity and pain whispered, "You deserve to know." The messages weren't scandalous, they were worse. Daily conversations. Shared jokes. The same warmth he once gave her now belonged to someone else. Her mind flashed back. The late nights, the new cologne, his sudden smiles while texting. Everything she ignored now lined up like cruel evidence. Her throat tightened. There were no loud cries, just a quiet ache spreading through her chest. The kind of pain that steals your breath without making a sound. She placed the phone gently back beside him, as if afraid to wake not just him, but the illusion she'd been living in. She walked to the kitchen, barefoot on cold tiles, trying to breathe through the storm inside her. The hum of the refrigerator was the only sound in the world. In the window's reflection, she saw herself, strong yet broken. She whispered, "What did I do wrong?" But deep down, she knew she didn't cause his choices. She sat at the table till dawn, her coffee untouched. The clock ticked endlessly. Every second felt heavier with realization. Love had turned into betrayal. When Arjun woke up, she stood by the counter, calm but hollow. "Who's Nina?" she asked quietly. He blinked, startled. "She's just a friend from work." Her lips curved in a small, painful smile. She'd expected the lie. He tried to brush it off, but she didn't argue. Her silence said more than anger ever could. As he left for work, she whispered to herself, "You don't lose people. You lose illusions." Maya stood in the kitchen, her face calm but her heart trembling beneath the surface. The truth from last night lingered in the air like smoke, visible, inescapable. Arjun walked in, adjusting his tie, humming softly. The normalcy of it made her chest ache. How easily he could pretend. "Who is Nina?" Maya asked, her tone steady, eyes unblinking. He froze, then laughed awkwardly. "Just someone from work." Her silence stretched, too long, too still. "Do you always talk to your coworkers at midnight?" she asked. His jaw tightened. "You check my phone?" She exhaled softly. "I looked when the truth buzzed on its own." He raised his voice slightly. "You're overreacting, Maya. It's nothing serious." She smiled sadly. That same excuse had once fooled her. It didn't anymore. "Do you even hear yourself?" she said softly. "You stopped talking to me long before she appeared." For the first time, he looked at her, really looked, but it was too late. She whispered, "You made me doubt myself. I thought I wasn't enough. But you were just done trying." He stayed silent, and silence, she realized, was the cruelest confession of all. Her trembling hands brushed a cup off the counter. It shattered, sharp, final. The sound startled them both. It was the sound of something ending. He sighed, rubbing his temples. "You always take things too seriously. You're too emotional, Maya." Her voice cracked. "No, I'm just the only one still feeling." He grabbed his keys. "We'll talk later," he muttered.
She didn't stop him this time.
Watching him walk away felt both painful and freeing. When the door closed, Maya sank to the floor, her strength breaking at last. Tears fell soundlessly, the only truth left in the room. Through her tears, she whispered, "You can't fix something that died in silence." The house was quiet again, but this time, the quiet felt like clarity. Days passed like ghosts. The argument never replayed, yet its echo lingered in every room. They spoke less, laughed never, existed barely. Maya placed a cup of tea before him. He murmured thanks, without looking up. The space between them at the table felt wider than oceans. He used to bring her flowers once a week. She used to iron his shirts with care. Now both routines died quietly, casualties of indifference. "How was your day?" she asked out of habit.
"Fine," he replied.
That single word had become the anthem of their dying love. They moved around the house like strangers on separate paths, careful not to collide, polite enough to coexist. Maya lay awake, listening to his steady breathing beside her. It wasn't comforting anymore, just proof that he was near but not close. They watched a movie together, barely speaking. The laughter on screen felt like mockery, a reminder of how quiet they had become. There was a time when one look was enough to understand everything. Now, even eye contact felt uncomfortable, like meeting a stranger in your own home. Her hand brushed his by accident while reaching for the salt. He moved it away too quickly. She smiled faintly, Even rejection had become routine. Maya worked, cooked, cleaned, living on autopilot. Arjun stayed longer at the office. Each of them performed their roles, but love was no longer part of the script. Sometimes, she caught him staring, not with love, but guilt. And that hurt even more because guilt isn't the same as care. At night, they turned off the lights without a word. She faced one side, he faced the other. Maya whispered silently, "We live together, but our souls have already moved out." Maya woke up before dawn. The pale light crept through the curtains as she watched Arjun sleep, peaceful, distant, unreachable. She realized she had spent years trying to wake a man who didn't want to be found. In the stillness of that morning, something inside her shifted. Not anger, not revenge, just a quiet certainty. She was done waiting to be chosen. She pulled out an old suitcase from under the bed. It smelled of dust and forgotten trips. As she opened it, it felt like opening a door to her own freedom. One by one, she folded her clothes, each piece carrying a memory. The red dress from their anniversary, the blue shawl from their trip. She folded them gently, then let go. Her eyes caught the photo of their daughter smiling at the park. Maya traced the edges and whispered, "For you, I have to be strong." She sat at the kitchen table and wrote a short letter. "I can't live where love no longer exists. I hope one day you understand." She placed it beside his coffee cup, one last gesture of grace. Before leaving, she walked through the house, the living room, the hallway, the kitchen. Each room held laughter once. Now they only held echoes. At the door, she turned around. The home looked beautiful but hollow, like a picture with no people in it. She whispered goodbye, not to him, but to who she used to be. The morning air was cold, but it felt honest. For the first time in years, she breathed without guilt. Freedom didn't roar, it whispered. As the taxi pulled away, she watched the house grow smaller in the rearview mirror, the life she once begged for now disappearing behind her. Her phone buzzed, his name flashing on the screen. For a moment, her heart ached. Then she let it ring until it stopped. Some closures are silent. The city unfolded before her, unfamiliar yet full of promise. Maya whispered, "I'm not lost, I'm starting again." And for the first time, the silence inside her felt like peace. The train hissed to a stop. Maya stepped out with her suitcase, greeted by the familiar scent of earth after rain. Her hometown looked smaller than she remembered, or maybe she had grown. Her mother opened the door before Maya could knock. No questions, just a hug, long, trembling, wordless. Maya hadn't realized how much she'd missed being held without judgment. Inside, the house smelled of cardamom tea and memories. The walls hadn't changed, but something inside her finally did. She felt safe. That night, she slept deeply for the first time in years. No nightmares, no clock ticking in emptiness, just peace wrapping her like a blanket. She woke to her mother humming an old song. The melody carried her back to simpler days, before heartbreak, before self-doubt. For once, Maya smiled without forcing it. Looking in the mirror again, Maya saw someone different, not broken, just rebuilding. Her eyes were tired but alive, holding new fire. Before leaving, she walked through the house, the living room, the hallway, the kitchen. Each room held laughter once. Now they only held echoes. Her little girl ran around the garden chasing butterflies, her laughter pure and bright. Maya realized, even after everything, her daughter still had joy. That meant she'd done something right. That evening, over tea, her mother finally asked, "You loved him?" Maya nodded. "Yes, but I love myself now too." Her mother smiled, proud and teary. She opened a blank notebook and wrote, "Day 1. I'm learning to be whole again." It wasn't a resolution. It was a promise. As the sun set, painting the sky in gold and pink, she whispered, "Maybe endings are just disguised beginnings." She meant it, and for the first time, she believed it. Later that night, Maya sat under the stars with her daughter asleep beside her. There was no need for words. Peace had finally taken the place of pain. Rain tapped gently against the window. Maya sat near the glass, tracing raindrops as they fell. Each drop felt like a memory, sharp, clear, and fading. Her heart still carried the weight of everything she hadn't said, the anger, the confusion, the longing. That night, she finally let it rise. She sank to the floor, crying for every version of herself that had been silenced, the woman who loved, who waited, who begged to be seen. Her mother found her there, kneeling on the floor. Without a word, she knelt beside her and held her close. Love, pure and simple, no questions, no judgment. Through sobs, Maya whispered, "He made me feel small." Her mother replied gently, "Then grow taller, not for him, but for yourself." The words struck deep. She cried until she couldn't anymore, and when the tears stopped, she felt lighter, not healed yet, but freer. Later, she opened her journal and wrote, "I forgive you, not because you deserve it, but because I deserve peace." Her hand trembled, but her heart steadied. In the backyard, she lit a small fire in an old metal basin. She dropped a few of their photos inside, not to erase the past, but to free herself from it. Her daughter ran up and hugged her waist. "Mama, are you okay now?" Maya smiled gently, stroking her hair. "Yes, baby. I think I'm getting there." The rain had stopped. The air smelled clean. Maya sat outside with a blanket around her shoulders, feeling something she hadn't felt in years, peace that didn't depend on anyone else. Before bed, she whispered a small prayer, not for him, but for herself. To love again, to trust again, to never forget my worth. The next morning, sunlight touched her face. She looked in the mirror and smiled, faint, tired, but real. The woman staring back wasn't broken anymore. She was reborn. The sky was pale and calm. Maya sat at her desk with a cup of tea, watching sunlight filter through the curtains. She knew what she had to do. It was time to say goodbye properly. She opened her notebook to a fresh page. The emptiness looked back at her, almost daring her to fill it with everything she never said. Her hand trembled as she wrote, "Dear Arjun," 2 simple words, yet they carried the weight of years' love, betrayal, silence, and all the versions of her that had loved him anyway. Her words flowed like water, about the laughter they once shared, the dreams they built, and how quietly everything had fallen apart. She didn't write with anger, but with truth. "You made me doubt myself. You made me believe love meant enduring pain quietly." Tears blurred her ink. Still, she kept writing. This wasn't weakness, it was release. Then she wrote the words that mattered most. "But I forgive you, not because you deserve it, but because I do." As the pen moved, her heart steadied. She wrote about the lessons, how pain taught her strength and loss taught her self-worth. "Thank you for teaching me who I don't want to be anymore." She signed her name slowly, Maya. It felt final, not bitter, just complete. She smiled softly, realizing she didn't need a response. She folded the letter neatly and sealed it in an envelope. Her hands didn't shake anymore. Letting go had a strange kind of peace to it. She walked down the quiet lane to the nearest post box. The world seemed brighter, sounds clearer, as if life was waiting for her again. She slipped the letter inside the red box. It landed with a soft thud, the sound of closure. Maya whispered, "Goodbye for real this time." As she walked home, the weight she'd carried for years felt lighter. Somewhere deep inside, she knew this wasn't the end of her story. It was the beginning of peace. It was a quiet afternoon. The house smelled of jasmine tea. Maya was reading when her phone buzzed softly. A name she hadn't seen in years appeared. Arjun. Her heart skipped, not from love, but from memory. She stared at the screen, unsure whether to answer or let the past ring itself out. She answered. His voice, older but familiar, filled the silence. "Maya, it's me." For a moment, her breath caught, time folded in on itself. There was a long pause.
He spoke first.
"I read your letter, every line." Maya closed her eyes. She had written that letter for closure, not for return. I was stupid, Maya, he said softly. I thought I'd find better, but I only found emptiness. His words trembled, but they no longer had power over her. She listened quietly. I hope you find peace, Arjun, she said gently. Her voice wasn't bitter, just steady, like someone who had walked through fire and come out whole. He hesitated. Do you think we could ever try again? The question floated heavy between them, but she already knew the answer. No, Maya whispered, almost kindly. I forgave you, but forgiveness isn't an invitation back. There was silence, the kind that ends something for good. He exhaled deeply. I understand. She smiled softly, tears slipping down her cheek. Take care of yourself. Then she ended the call, peacefully. The house was quiet again, but this silence was different, not empty, just calm. She had finally closed the last door in her heart. She walked to the mirror. You did it, she whispered to herself. This time, her reflection smiled back. Whole, free, radiant. Outside, the sun dipped below the horizon. The sky burned orange, then faded to gold. Maya stood by the window and whispered, some stories don't end in love, they end in peace. Maya woke up to birdsong instead of heartache. The light spilling into her room felt warmer, softer. For the first time in years, she didn't reach for her phone. She just breathed. She made herself coffee, just one cup, and it felt right. The silence wasn't heavy anymore. It was her own space, her own rhythm. Looking into the mirror, she saw strength where sadness used to live. Her eyes had changed, not colder, just clearer. She stepped outside. The air was crisp, the streets alive. The world hadn't changed, but she had. She stopped at a flower stall and bought herself daisies, her favorite. Once, she waited for others to bring her flowers.
Now she gave them to herself.
Days turned into gentle rituals, morning walks, journaling, laughter with her daughter. Her life wasn't perfect, but it was honest. One afternoon, she caught herself smiling, not at a message, not at anyone, just smiling. Healing had quietly replaced heartbreak. She began teaching art classes at a small community center. Each brushstroke reminded her, creation can grow even from pain. A man held the door open for her at the cafe. He smiled warmly. She smiled back, not with hope, but with peace. Sometimes kindness is enough. That night, she sat by her window, journal in hand. She reread her first entry. Day 1. I'm learning to be whole again. Now she wrote, Day 100. I am. She penned one more letter, not to Arjun, but to herself. You survived. You grew. You are enough. Tears filled her eyes, but they were happy ones this time. As she lay down beside her sleeping daughter, the moonlight traced their faces. Maya whispered, we're home now. Not a house. Not a marriage. Home was peace, and she had finally found it. Thank you for watching till the end. Your love and support mean everything to us. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss any of our new stories and updates. And if you enjoyed this journey, comment below and let us know. Your feedback inspires our next big story.